What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with the latest videos uploaded to the channel. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So right away, for those of you that are used to looking at a Coyote 18 and up engine bay, a few things might look different to you, like this PVC hose here. I modified it a little bit to look a little bit more old school, give it just more flexibility, easier to move out of the way and things like that. But I retained the factory plastic molded hose connections and everything to be able to clip it on and off very easily. And it swivels on the JLT version 3 catch can. Just wanted to modify it. It gives it a little bit, in my opinion, a better appeal, more of an old school feel, and just kind of cleans it up. You know, it's not shiny, it doesn't catch your eye, it's just kind of out of the way there. So what I've done here is I've done the non-traditional sound tube delete, and reason why I didn't want to go through the full one is to be able to easily reverse the process if needed, even though that may never happen. But it cleaned up the engine bay on the driver's side of the engine here pretty well. Got rid of the ugly bulky sound tube section there. But if you could see here, I've got a rubber plug in there to plug it off to make sure that the odors and moisture, insects or whatever debris doesn't get inside there. And it's closed off and easily reversible. If I were to get a section of hose like this, reconnect it and be like factory again. As you can see, the intake is off the car right now. Everything's disconnected from it. If you do this for any extended period of time, your intake is off the vehicle and the throttle body exposed, please use tape or some other means to cover it up. A reason why I choose tape is because it doesn't leave fibers behind when you remove it. So shoving a rag or a towel or something in there could leave debris in there and fibers behind, and you definitely don't want it exposed. If you ever live in an area like I do where there's constant blowing dust and things like that, got it covered up for the sake of keeping debris out of the engine that can damage or cause catastrophic damage to the engine itself. The next thing is, like the title of the video says, I modified the OEM factory 18 and up Mustang GT intake. And how did I do that? Well, first of all, when you remove the sound tube, you've got to plug off the inlet for it. So there's a rubber plug in there as well. This connects to the PVC hose. Now the rubber PVC hose connects right over that perfectly. It fits perfect. It's not too tight, it's not loose, easily removable, and fits snug. And I believe it's a 1930 seconds is the hose size. And here is your factory connection for vacuum line, mass airflow sensor connection, top of the filter housing, and the bottom with the filter in it, and your box, of course, there for pulling air in through the grill. What exactly did I do to change this? What exactly is my big modification for it? Well, it's something I want to do both for cosmetic reasons, to clean up the look of the intake, and I think it's going to be an interesting function for some cooling. And I think it's going to really add some beneficial cooling to the engine and possibly the intake. But I'll explain to you the reason behind why I modified it and what I did. So turn it over. You're going to see there was something here, and what was here was what they call a Hemholtz Resonator. Used to go on there like so. So it's about 3.5 to 4 inches worth of material that hangs down underneath the intake. Now you would think, well, big deal, you know. And what to do, I'll place a link in the description below describing what a Hemholtz Resonator does, but I'm going to mock it up for you real quick. So if that, let's just pretend that's attached there. And you put this back on underneath here. One thing it does is, first of all, it looks ugly, and it is covering a good portion of the top half of the fan from blowing directly at the engine So there it is, attached, hangs down really low underneath there. So in my opinion, it was soaking up heat, transferring that into the intake because it's hanging low and close to the engine. And if you remove this here, the intake, there's a distribution block here for sending water to different areas of the engine. There's a distribution right here for the engine coolant. You would definitely want as much air as possible moving through this area to keep temperatures down. Now it may be 3 degrees difference, but I'll take that. I mean, if it's an improvement, that's a win overall. So in theory, opening up this fan area to pass cleanly underneath the intake should not only be able to blow air onto the intake from the underside and cool it down, but a lot more air, because like I said, a top portion of this fan was literally blocked by that resonator. Now I would say 10 to 15% more air should be able to easily reach the front end of the engine here and some of the cylinder head, and this coolant channel here. Like I said, it's just something I wanted to do. I'm not saying you should do it. So I've been running it for a week now, and it has not had any issues. The car is running smoothly, just like it was factory. I mean, it is factory. In regards to removing that resonator, the car is functioning perfectly fine. There's no check engine lights, there's no hesitation, there's nothing negative about it at this point. And like I said, it's been a week. There has been, in my opinion, improvements to the throttle response and some of the high end, the top end. It just feels like it pulls a little bit better. I'm not certain without putting it on a dyno. There has been no negative results from it, and it, in my opinion, from the seat of the pants dyno, it does feel a little bit better. The reason why I say that is right now it's the hottest time of the year. We're in the mid to high 90s. It's the hottest it's been all year, and it seems to be performing very well. IATs the other day sitting in traffic was about 117 in a 98 degree day, and then when you get moving, it could be anywhere from 102 to 106. So factory intake really does a nice job of keeping IATs down. That's the reason why I want to stick with it. They've made huge improvements to it. For the 18, it's larger. My plans are to put in a higher flowing filter, and there should be gains from that. Not only does the mod seem to help, but this filter is the original filter on the car. I have not changed it yet. It is 7,000 miles on it. And the climate I live in, it is very windy with lots of dirt and debris. So I'm sure adding just a factory on brand new air filter on there is going to add a little bit more pep to the car. And certainly going with an aftermarket higher flowing filter on top of that, the car should benefit tremendously from that as well. So I feel that there's a few hidden horsepower in the modification that I've done, and then later on, or here briefly, coupling that with a higher flowing dry filter should give the car some more punch. But for right now, like I said, guys, this thing is performing really well. IATs are low. The engine bay looks better. The intake looks better. And top end of this fan was literally covered up by that resonator hanging down there. So now air is going to a critical area here, where there is a critical area involving this water channel, and the cylinder head can actually get a little bit more air on this corner here. So what I did to modify it, so chopping off that resonator, I'd used a Sawzall. You could probably use a hacksaw. Just do it as clean as possible to get a clean cut on there. It'll make it a lot easier later for actually doing the plug. So what I've done, so here's something I picked up at AutoZone. It is a GM body panel retainer. It's a large one. I'm going to say 1.5 inches in diameter, something like that, which seemed to be the perfect size to cover up this hole where that resonator was. So I prepped the area by sanding it down, making it a little bit rough. That way when I used the JB Weld plastic weld, which by the way is very strong, durable stuff, so I recommend going with a name brand like JB Weld, with, you know, because I have no doubt that that product was going to do what I needed it to do, which was completely seal off this hole here. You mix up the epoxy, you put down a bead, seat the body retainer. You just really want to apply it generously to make sure that it gets a good seal, because after all, this is after the filter, so if you have any opening or holes there allowing debris to get in, it won't be long before the engine gives up or you run into a major issue with it. So very important. Only take on this do-it-yourself modification to the intake if you have some decent skill and confidence that you're going to be able to patch and plug that hole watertight. In fact, speaking of watertight, what I did to make sure that this was foolproof and done correctly, I did put some water in here, but I do recommend before you do that, I had this section removed so it was just this part, because you do not want to get the mass airflow sensor wet or chance messing that up, because the car won't run right or at all. But so I put some water in here, left it for about 10 minutes on its belly like that, with water sitting there to give it some time for water to show up or leak through. Luckily, first time with the repair, it worked really well. I did a good job. There was no water that passed through or leaked through there, so it's airtight. I'm confident with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on, show you guys what it looks like put together, and then I'll show you a before picture, and I'll see you guys when it's all put together. All right, guys, so here it is. Everything's back together. It only took literally about a minute. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed making it, and I'm excited to share with you my project. Everything turned out to be, you know, so far so good. No issues, no engine codes, no errors. Everything seems to be smooth. In fact, the car does feel a little bit better and punchier in the bottom RPM range and the lower RPM range, and it feels just as good, if not better, in the higher RPM. So car is enjoying it. The IATs are staying low. That's why I want to stay with the factory intake and wanted to modify it to make it better, and so far it does seem like I have made an improvement. Also, a benefit from it was not only did it look better down here getting rid of it, but it really did open up a large portion of the area for that fan to blow more air to hit the surface of that engine and that cooling channel there and any components around it, just to keep you know, hopefully it has made a good impact as far as cooling, because an increase in cooling wherever you can get it is a win in my opinion. So I'm very happy with that. I feel more confident that the air is reaching more components and keeping things just a little bit cooler on this right side of the engine, on the driver's side. And the overall project turned out to be a success. If you guys have questions or comments, let me know what you guys think of how this turned out. If you plan on trying this or need some help, if you do get into it, and just overall let me know what you guys think about the video, the mod, and I'm anxious to hear what you guys think. Also, if you're new to the channel, again, subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date. That way you won't miss out on videos like this, little do-it-yourself videos that may help you out. Anyways, glad to bring something a little bit different to the Mustang community. I haven't seen this out there yet anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and be safe.